The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Tuesday, March 8, 2022, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Monday, March 7, 2022 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. Secretary Reed.
Senator Sanders moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance Assembly Bill number 3954B and substitute it for the identical Senate Bill 549B, third reading calendar 583.
So ordered. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state offices. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon. Amendments are offered to the following third reading calendar bills by Senator Salazar, calendar 126, Senator Harkin, calendar 311, and Senator Kaminsky, calendar 502.
The amendments have been received, and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Brooks, I wish to call up Senate Print 6035, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
Secretary Reed.
Calendar number 478, Senate Print 6035 by Senator Brooks, an act in relation to authorizing the Belmore Fire District to file an application for exemption from real property taxes.
The vote by which the bill is passed.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, or Stewart-Cousins-White, ayes 63.
The bill is restored to its place on the third reading calendar.
I offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, can we take up previously adopted Resolution 2017 by Senator Reichlin-Melnick? Read the resolution's title and recognize Senator Reichlin-Melnick.
Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 2017 by Senator Reichlin-Melnick, commending Juanio upon the occasion of celebrating 75 years of supporting children, adults, and families with special needs.
Senator Reichlin-Melnick on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. And today I rise to honor 75 years of remarkable work by Juanio in supporting children, adults, and families with special needs. Few organizations have contributed so much to improving the lives of people in the Hudson Valley as Juanio. For 75 years, they have been empowering individuals with special needs to build lives of dignity and self-worth. Juanio was founded in 1947 to provide developmental disability, mental health, and medical services to 6 local families. Since then, this nonprofit organization has provided independence, well-being, and equality for thousands upon thousands of families throughout Rockland, Westchester, and the Hudson Valley. I recently visited Juanio's brand new 75,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in New City with some of my legislative colleagues. And we were there to celebrate the release of a report by the Rockefeller Institute, which issued a report on the impact of the jobs programs that Juanio facilitates. These types of job programs benefit both the individuals and the entire community. Juanio is the 7th largest employer in Rockland County and the largest disability service organization in the Hudson Valley region. From its humble beginnings as a sleepover camp, Juanio now supports 3,500 individuals. With a workforce of close to 1,000 professionals in Rockland, Westchester, and Orange counties, Juanio provides lifespan services from infants through the end of life with a variety of services including early intervention, special education preschool, summer education, vocational and employment services, residential and day services, and recovery-based mental health services and care management. Under the leadership of CEO Randy Rios Castro, Juanio remains true to its mission. A number of events will be held throughout the year, and a new video entitled Celebrating 75 Years will showcase Juanio's many successes and the important work that they do for our community. The organization has shown a sustained commitment to excellence worthy of the recognition and applause of all the citizens of New York. And so I ask my Senate colleagues to join me in commending Juanio upon the occasion of celebrating 75 years of inspirational work supporting children, adults, and families with special needs. I vote aye.
Senator Reichlin-Melnick, in the affirmative on the resolution. The resolution was previously adopted on March 8th. Senator Gianaris.
At the request of Senator Reichlin-Melnick, that resolution is open for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor of the resolution, please notify the desk. Senator
Let's
Janaris.
take up the reading of the calendar at this time, please.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 223, Senate Print 3974 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the general municipal law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Aye, 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 252, Senate Print 2199 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 279, Senate Print 4082 by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 430, Senate Print 7861 by Senator May, an act to direct the Department of Agriculture and Markets to develop and produce guidance and education for materials.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 434, Senate Print 4072 by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 544, Senate Print 8059A by Senator Bailey, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Read the last section.
Section 8, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Bailey to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank our chair of the Agriculture Committee, Senator Hinchey, and Madam Leader for letting us advance this bill. Sports, music, and food are some of the things that unite us in this state. And when we're talking about food, it's important to make sure we're uniting upstate and downstate, but also not just rural and suburban, but also urban. And so in spaces like the Bronx, New York, where I hail from, and you all know that I hail from the Bronx, New York, it's important, it's imperative to make sure that we're doing things in order to facilitate urban agriculture, including but not limited to things like vertical farming, and just making sure that the spaces that we have in urban environments are available for us to be able to grow food. And growing food is incredibly important and critical to our growth, literally and figuratively. And so I'm appreciative of all my colleagues in this body to support this important piece of legislation, and I proudly vote aye, Madam President.
Senator Bailey to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 583, Assembly number 3954B by Assemblymember Thiel, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 3502A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 602, Senate Print 6808A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the state finance law.
We're returning to calendar 592. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 30.
Yes, Senator Gianaris.
Can we move to reconsider the vote on calendar 592, please?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 3502A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the tax law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 602, Senate Print 6808A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the state finance law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
Ayes.
Senator Hinchey to explain her vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. New York is an ag state, and it's incredibly important that we do everything we can to protect our agricultural economy and the small and mid-sized family farms that enable it. And this bill sets for the first time, or updates our procurement laws for the first time since the 1970s, and for the first time sets procurement goals for New York State food products across New York State agencies. This actually puts our state money where our mouth is, making sure that we are investing back in local businesses, that we are making sure that our communities are eating local. Anyone who's operating or using services from state agencies will now know that they are eating fresh, healthy food produced right here in New York State. To me, that is really exciting. It's a great way to expand markets for our farmers, and it's a great way to make sure that everyone across our state is eating locally sourced healthy food. So I thank leadership for bringing this bill forward and my colleagues for the support, and for that reason, I vote aye.
Senator Hinchey to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the result.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 616, Senate Print 5006 by Senator Serrano, enactment of the Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
That completes the reading of today's calendar. Senator Jeanette.
Procedural matter, can we go back, and I don't think we actually voted on the motion to reconsider calendar 592, so can we please take that up?
Calendar 592, Secretary will read.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 3502A by Senator Hinchey, enactment of the tax law.
The vote by which the bill is passed, Mr. President.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White. Ayes 63.
The bill is restored to its place on the third reading calendar.
Take up calendar 592, please.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 3502A by Senator Hinchey, enactment of the tax law.
The bill has been laid aside.
All right.
That completes the reading of today's non-controversial calendar.
Mr. President, at this time, I think there's a report of the Finance Committee at the desk. Can we please take it up and recognize Senator Kruger?
Secretary will read.
Senator Kruger from the Committee on Finance reports the following nomination as Commissioner of the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, Daniel W. Teets.
I'm very pleased to be here today to move the nomination of Daniel W. Teets to the position of the Commissioner of the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance on the floor today. He has moved through both the Committee on Social Services and the Committee on Finance. Many of us here in the Senate know Daniel Teets from any number of other positions he has held in the state government, in the city government, in the city not-for-profit sector. OTDA is an extraordinarily large agency with vast responsibilities overseeing social service agencies throughout the state of New York. And I have to say, Kathy Hochul has truly sent us someone who is qualified for this position. Most recently, the acting commissioner served as the interim CEO for the Bronx Parent Housing Network, a provider of emergency shelter and social services to over 2,000 individuals in more than a dozen facilities. He was also appointed by the New York State Supreme Court to serve as the temporary receiver CEO of the organization Children's Community Services. He previously served as the CEO of Bailey House, a community-based organization with nearly 40-year history of providing housing and essential supportive services to individuals and families with HIV, AIDS, and other chronic conditions. Prior to that, the acting Commissioner Teets served as the Chief Special Services Officer to New York City's Department of Social Services Human Resources Administration from June 2014 through October 2017, where Mr. Teets oversaw programs that focused on the most vulnerable New Yorkers, including day-to-day shelter and intake operations for approximately 60,000 New Yorkers experiencing homelessness. Earlier in his career, he served as executive director for ACREA, a national HIV research, education, and advocacy organization, and also as deputy executive director for the Coalition for the Homeless, and as the deputy executive director for Housing Works, all of which are based in New York City, among other positions. He's long advocated for the rights of the LGBTQI community, for social justice concerns, and for social service needs. He's an attorney and a registered nurse. He received his JD from the New England Law School and a BA in Legal Services from the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and as an RN from the Milwaukee County General Hospital School of Nursing. I actually didn't know he was a registered nurse until just the other day. And during the Finance Committee meeting, quite a few of my colleagues, senators, talked about their personal relationship working with him over the years and how extraordinarily committed he is to ensuring the best interests and the best programs for the lowest income New Yorkers who need our help more than any other New Yorkers. So I am very pleased to stand here and move his nomination, and I hope my colleagues will join me in that. Thank you, Mr. President. There may be some other senators who wish to speak.
Thank you, Senator Krueger. Senator Prasad on the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like my colleague, I am here to thank Governor Hochul for this nomination. Daniel W. Teets is qualified, overqualified, and his heart is in the right place. He will lead the agency with empathy. He understands the needs of the most vulnerable New Yorkers, and the conversations we've had prior to his nomination, his confirmation hearing yesterday, have been admirable. We have had conversations, and he gets it. He understands the needs of New Yorkers, whether it's, as my colleague said, we found out every time I speak with him, I find out something new and something that will really, really help him as he leads the agency. Yes, as an RN, wow. As a lawyer, wow. Worked in homeless services, wow. All of these issues are issues that New York State has to face. He knows what the homeless population needs. He knows what we need to do so that we decrease the homeless population. He knows what social services we need to have in place for the homeless population. All of those things he understands, and he is pledged to do so. So the Social Service Committee met. I don't think there was anyone there who did not have something complimentary to say about the incoming commissioner. And that's a testament to his character. And anybody who didn't know, he's a farm boy. So any of my colleagues here who are farmers, you have someone there who understands the needs of farmers. So we know the farming community has social services needs. He understands that. So on behalf of the Social Services Committee, I am proud to move his nomination and look forward to working with him in his capacity as the commissioner, because at this pivotal time, he is the right person for the job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Prasad. Senator Brisport on the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in part to note the particular significance of Daniel W. Teets's long history of advocating for LGBTQ+ people, his phenomenal work at the New Pride Agenda, and the value of confirming a commissioner of the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance who truly understands the intersectionality of poverty and LGBTQ+ issues. But for those who don't understand that intersection, let me break it down for you. As a result of discrimination and marginalization by families, by employers, and by landlords, and truly the world at large, a dramatically disproportionate number of queer people face poverty and homelessness. Now, with the revitalized wave of anti-queer, especially anti-trans rhetoric, sentiment, legislation, and appointments sweeping our nation, we can expect a correlated rise in poverty and homelessness among LGBTQ+ people. At the same time, New Yorkers at large are experiencing an ever-worsening homelessness crisis, recently compounded by the expiration of the eviction moratorium. They are struggling under the weight of a decade of budget cuts, along with 2 years of brutal pandemic. Meanwhile, disabled people continue to face a world that treats their frequent exclusion from housing and employment as somehow insignificant or acceptable. Today, we have the opportunity to confirm a supremely qualified Commissioner of OTDA. And in the coming weeks, we must also meet our responsibility as the legislature to ensure that Mr. Teets and OTDA are positioned to succeed by raising new revenue to properly fund OTDA. Mr. President, I proudly vote aye on the confirmation of Daniel W. Teets.
Thank you, Senator Bridgeport. Senator Hoylman on the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just rise to second my colleagues' support for this nomination. I want to congratulate the governor for her reaching into the trenches and finding an advocate who is so professionally qualified, who understands the challenges that are faced not just by LGBTQIA New Yorkers, but so many New Yorkers in the area of housing and healthcare. Because fundamentally, housing is a human right, and we have a new commissioner who not only understands that, but has advocated for that for the last multiple decades. I'm proud to have been in rooms where I've seen Dan Teets exemplify the best of my community, but the best of advocacy among New Yorkers. So again, I congratulate Dan and his family and friends for this ascension. I know we'll be working closely together with all of our colleagues here on behalf of our constituents. And again, thank and congratulate the governor on this incredibly important appointment. I support the nomination.
Thank you, Senator Hoylman. Senator Savino on the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to congratulate Governor Hochul on an incredibly qualified candidate to be the Commissioner of the Office of Temporary and Disability Services. You know, Dan Teets is uniquely qualified because not only has he been in the social service field for 35 years, he's touched upon just about every aspect of it. So many people come before us to be confirmed to run agencies, and they know a little bit about how that agency operates, or they've worked in some aspect of it. But when you look at his resume, you see he's experienced, as Senator Kruger said, he's an attorney and he's a nurse, but he's also worked with children. He's worked with the homeless. He's worked with HIV and AIDS. He's been in the public sector. He's been in the private sector. He can tell you about the days when the super agencies existed, when it was the Department of Social Services on the state level and HRA in the city level, before we began to break them down and silo them. But he understands, probably better than any commissioner coming into this job, that every family that touches OTDA or touches HRA is cross-systemized by 3 or 4 other agencies. And the challenges they face when they're dealing with one agency is often not reflected with the other agency. He brings that unique perspective. And I think he's going to do some really good things that no commissioner before him has done because he's been in all of those places. And he has another unique challenge ahead of him. You're going to have to figure out how to bring OTDA and its children agencies, the local governments, and HRA into the 20th century with respect to technology. We'll worry about the 21st century maybe next year. But their legacy systems are ancient. Yes, we can laugh about that. Bringing them up to speed, protecting the information of millions of New Yorkers is incredibly important in an era where cybersecurity is a constant, imminent threat. That is going to be your challenge. And to do it all and provide services to people in a compassionate way. If anybody can do it, you can. So congratulations to you, Dan, to your family, and to Governor Hochul on this really important pick. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Savino. The question is on the nomination. Call the roll.
Dabo, Janaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results. Announce the results.
Those senators voting negative on the nominations are Senators Boyle, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Ord, Steck, and Tedisco.
The nominee is confirmed. Commissioner Teets, please rise and be recognized. Senator Janaris.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, can we go to the controversial calendar?
The Secretary will ring the bell. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 430, Senate Print 7861 by Senator May, an act to direct the Department of Agriculture and Markets to develop and produce guidance and education materials.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that Senator Oberacker be recognized and heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment, in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Mr. President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that Senator Oberacker be recognized. And when Senator Oberacker completes his argument, Senator Tedisco.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senators Oberacker and Tedisco may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because the bill at hand requires the Department of Agriculture and Markets and NYSERDA to develop and produce guidance and educational materials on the use of the co-location of solar power systems on active farmland to help with reduced energy costs. The amendment would suspend the state's gas tax, providing direct, immediate, and much-needed relief to New Yorkers across the state. New Yorkers are dealing with record gas prices at a time when inflation has hit a 40-year high. Suspending the gas tax is a simple, straightforward proposal that will help everyone who drives to work, to pick up groceries, and to take their kids to school. It will also help our economy. Manufacturers, our vital tourism industry, and every single business across the state is being hit with higher costs. None are suffering more than our family farms. Right now, as we sit here in this chamber and pass an agricultural package, our farmers are struggling. While educating them about solar opportunities is nice, what they really need is immediate relief from the high costs of staying in business. Farmers are working on their budgets for the spring planting season and the summer and fall harvests. The rising gas prices are really playing havoc with their bottom line. At a time when our farmers are already faced with looming increases in labor costs due to an ill-advised overtime policy, rising gas prices are further compounding their pain. Just this week alone, gas prices have skyrocketed to over $4.50 a gallon. And in some areas of the state, diesel is over $5 per gallon. While a more long-term solution to this issue is establishing the United States as energy independent, as we were recently as 2019 and 2020, this amendment will help in the short term. Here's a shock. In the high-tax state like New York, we have the 5th highest gas tax in the nation, nearly 50 cents. 35 cents of which goes directly into the New York State coffers. Suspending this tax will save working moms and senior citizens while filling up a 20-gallon tank. This is real money. This is real money, and it's going back into the pockets of hardworking New Yorkers. We owe it to every New Yorker to make ends meet during this time of unprecedented inflation. We can't idly stand by while our friends, our family, and our neighbors are suffering from economic turmoil. If we don't pass this amendment, which will help out so many, it is because the majority chose to put politics over people. I urge all my members of the Senate to support this common sense amendment to suspend the state's gas tax, which would help provide immediate and direct relief to hardworking New Yorkers. For this reason, Mr. President, I strongly urge you to reconsider your ruling. Thank you.
Senator Tedisco.
Thank you, Mr. President and my colleagues. Mr. President, I not only hope that you defend this amendment and call it germane. This is necessary that you do that. It's appropriate. It's the right thing. It's not the right thing for Republican members on this side of the aisle to help our beleaguered taxpayers in this highly and unbelievable inflation environment. It's for yours and our constituents here. The gas tax is now, was, and always will be an egregious and discriminatory tax. I'll talk a little bit about why that is later. And I'm hoping that my colleagues will stand up for your constituents during this time of inflation when there's unbelievable pressure at the pumps for them, as has been mentioned, to get to their job, to get their kids to school, to get to their doctor's offices, to do the things they have to do, middle and lower income individuals who aren't millionaires or billionaires, who don't care, who don't have a business, and can pay whatever they want to pay for a gallon of gasoline. But I have to tell you, I'm not going to be surprised if you do declare it that, and I hope you don't, and my colleagues allow this to happen. Because my colleagues, you know that 319,000 people walked out of the state of New York last year. They voted with their feet. You know we're number 1 or 2 holistically in taxes, the New York State of New York. You know we're number 1, and that's for sure, in Tax Freedom Day. And this is another tax that adds up to making that possible. And for my constituents and everybody listening, I know most of you know that, I mentioned it before, Tax Freedom Day is when any of the workers who toil in New York State actually take $1 home that doesn't go to taxes here in New York State. It's the middle to the end of May, close to 5 months. You're not free from taxes close to 5 months in New York State. And this adds to that during a time of inflation. It's unconscionable to say we'll continue on $4.50 for a gallon of gasoline before the tax is put on it. It's moving towards $5. And listen, we should never have to wait until it's $4.50 to say we have to eliminate the taxes on it. We never should have put taxes on gasoline. It's essential. Now, it may not be essential when you have mass transportation in subways and you can get to work and you can get to the doctor. It's essential for upstate New York. And I have to go back a little bit in years to illustrate the difference between the way we feel about this type of tax and taxes in general, and I think the way you feel. In 2008, there were 2 members, I think, on this floor who are here now, Senator Lanza and Senator Griffo. In 2008, I was in the New York State Assembly. This is a release I put out in the New York State Assembly with the bill that Senator Lanza and Senator Griffo passed on the floor in 2008. Tedisco, assembly full of baloney while taxpayers are running on empty, to suspend the gasoline tax in 2008. But we did it again in 2011. I sponsored it again. It passed in 2008, didn't pass the Assembly. No Republicans were there in the majority. 2011, put a bill in to suspend the tax. It passed the New York State Senate. Senator Greg Ball carried the bill then. I'm proud of the fact this is the third time this Senate, twice with the Republican majority, able to pass it. This time, I hope we'll be able to pass it with the support of the majority on the other side, who is in control now here in the Assembly, all levers of power in the governor's office. This will show what your levers of power will do to the taxpayers of New York State, because when the majority was here with the Republicans, it passed twice already. And I sponsored it first in the New York State Senate, 2008 and 2011. This is a discriminatory tax. It's egregious. It shouldn't have been there in 2008. It shouldn't have been there in 2011. It shouldn't be here now in 2022. It should be suspended right now. But there's a clear definition of who cares about their taxpayers and what you do to take care of them. Ironically, I sat on that side over there when I was in the majority here for 2 years. Very short time, okay? Now I'm on this side of the aisle. And let me tell you what the irony is. Look what I found in this drawer. That's Beano. Maybe that's what the Democrats think they should give to the taxpayers they represent. But that's not the type of gas pain which my constituents are having right now. They're having pain at the pump. They don't need Beano. What they need is the suspension of the gas tax at the pump. And this is the only people in town on this side of the aisle. My good friend on the other side brought it out, and I appreciate for him. I brought it out 11 years ago. We'll bring it out again every day if we have to. Think about it. Think about how egregious this tax is, really for everybody, but especially for upstate New York. They don't need Beano, my colleagues. They need a real elimination of that tax. I would ask you to think about the people driving all over this state to get to work, to get their kids to school, to get the groceries, as has been mentioned. And please, don't just say this is germane because you have levers of power here in the Assembly and in the governor's office. Stand up for your constituents and tell them you can help them by eliminating this egregious and geographically discriminatory tax, because it's geographically discriminatory more in upstate New York. I ask you to support this amendment.
Thank you, Senators Tedisco and Oberacker. I want to remind the House that the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
As an initial matter, I want to point out that Senator Tisco is sitting in my old seat, but that is not my Beano in your desk, I promise you. Mr. President, we've agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection or Beano, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Secretary Reed. Secretary, ring the bell. Secretary Reed.
Last section. Section 5, this action will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator May to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to explain my vote on this bill and the whole package of bills. I congratulate Senator Hinchey on bringing this whole package forward to support our farmers here in New York State. This bill has a fancy name, agrivoltaics, but what that means is that it would help farmers to both grow food and produce energy at the same time on their farms, which provides farmers with a diversified source of income, which can be critical when you have flooding or other disasters that may make it hard to produce produce food. It's something that's working very well in Germany in particular, but elsewhere in the world as well. And at this moment, when we see what it means to have dependence on foreign oil, especially on oil from countries run by dictators, anything we can do to be producing more green energy and get ourselves off of foreign oil is a positive thing. So I am grateful to my colleagues for bringing this bill forward and for supporting it, and I vote aye.
Senator May to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 592, Senate Print 3502A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the tax law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Barillo.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment, in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Mr. President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that you recognize Senator Barillo.
The appeal has been made and heard, and Senator Barillo may be heard. Made and recognized, and Senator Barillo may be heard. Excuse me.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to propose the amendment that is germane to the bill at hand, because the bill at hand creates a farm workforce retention credit, and the amendment before us would help remedy the issues of workforce retention. Specifically, this amendment would remove the Farm Labor Board. This labor board was created, this three-person, non-elected board was created under the Farm Labor Act, and it has been the key in the hand-wringing and the pain that the members of agriculture are experiencing as they have waited a long time for their result. This three-person unelected board has the power to take the threshold from 60 hours a week down to 40. And they've recently decided, after ignoring hours of testimony by farmers, by farm workers, they recently voted to ignore the words of those folks in agriculture and recommend the lowering of that threshold. This amendment would remove their power to give that recommendation to the governor. You know, the reality is that all stakeholders here, everyone in New York State that depends on agriculture, knows how harmful this would be. But no one more importantly than our farm workers. 70% of those testified that this would be harmful to them. They're actually making less, not more, under 60 hours. And what will happen when it goes to 40 hours? Well, quite frankly, it's going to be a true workforce crisis. So we're trying to pass a bill today that wants to give a tax credit to retain workers when we're going to actually be driving them out through the actions of the wage board. Cornell University, one of the most respected agriculture universities in the nation, a state-sponsored study to look at this topic. And what did they come back with? Well, they came back with a lot of frightening things. First and foremost, 2/3 of dairy farmers would move out of the milk production or abandon agriculture altogether entirely if the 40-hour threshold is enacted. Half of the fruit and vegetable farms interviewed said that they would scale back their operations or leave the industry altogether. And here's the best part. 70% of the guest workers, the people that we claim to be helping with this, have said that they would consider moving to another state and not even coming to New York. It's hard to have a tax credit when you aren't going to have workers to begin with. Do we really need a taxpayer-funded credit, or do we need to just simply eliminate the wage board and stick to the deal that this legislature agreed to when they passed that bill, 60 hours, and instead slid something in with this three-person wage board? Only one of the three is actually in agriculture. It was a rigged process to begin with. And it's denying not only our farmers, but our farm workers the justice that they deserve. They've all said they're making less money, the farmers and the farm workers. So by passing this amendment today, eliminating the wage board, we will not only stick to the deal that we made originally in this House, before me, but we will also ensure that agriculture can actually not just survive, but thrive here in New York State. So for these reasons, Mr. President, I strongly urge you to reconsider your ruling. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I want to remind the House that the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
We've agreed once again to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's controversial calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
There will be an immediate and virtual meeting of the Democratic Conference upon the adjournment of session. And with that, I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Thursday, March 10th at 11 a.m.
There will be an immediate virtual meeting of the Senate Democratic Conference immediately following session. On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Thursday, March 10th at 11 a.m.